I'm building a big powder coating oven. I've been using just a household range, the oven in a household range, and it works okay, but it's kind of limited to the size of the parts you can powder coat. I've needed something bigger for years, and I need something now for the parts, some of these parts for the airplane that I'm doing. I started building a 4x4 oven, and I've got some heating elements. I've got walls all sheeted. I sheeted them in hardy cement board. I made a cutout in two of the walls to recess the heating elements so they're not protruding out into the work area in the oven. That's not totally necessary, but it helps a lot if you don't have those protruding out in the oven. They don't take up space, but they're not there sticking out where you can bang them and damage something or knock the powder over something when you're loading and unloading the oven. So I made a cutout in this wall, and I got some stainless steel sheet to use to make a tray to close in this cutout. Now originally I was thinking about laying out the sheet and folding up the sides and stuff into a nice box and laying it down in there, but my sheet that I have available of the stainless is only 24 inches wide, which is just the width to fit in this cavity. So I needed to do something else. So I cut one piece and folded it up into a box with a flange to fit over the outside. And then I made two flanges to go on each side. Basically, it's just the same depth as the box with a flange underneath that goes underneath to support this tray, and a flange on the outside. Now I could have riveted those together or bolted them together. I even got a little TIG welder. I thought about TIG welding. I've never TIG welded stainless before, and this thin material, probably not exactly the thing to start on. It'd take me more time to figure it out than what it's worth, although I'd wind up with nice tight joints in there and stuff to close up some of these seams with the TIG welder. What I did do is I ran down to the hangar and picked up my spot welder. And I bought this spot welder, Chicago Electric spot welder model 45690 from Harbor Freigt several years ago when we were down south. And we go down there and we kind of do some binge buying at Harbor Freigt and a few other places, because we don't really get a chance to shop at those places very often. For a while it was every year. It's been about 2 or 3 years now since we've been anywhere where we could shop like that. So this was on sale, and I've always wanted one. I knew I was going to use it for something someday, maybe, and so I bought it. This is the first time I've used it. It's been stored down there in the hangar for 3 or 4 years, and I got it out, put it together, and used it for this job, and it worked just perfect for this. Okay, this is the spot welder, and it was just in a plastic bag, and the handle was way up. This handle wasn't on, and the tongs were not in it. The tongs were separate in a separate bag. So it doesn't take a whole lot to assemble it. The tongs are tarnished a little bit. I brightened those up with some Scotch-Brite. The blocks that they fit in were actually in pretty good shape. They didn't need to be cleaned up at all. So fit the tongs in there. They're held in with 4 cap screws. They're socket head cap screws in this block right here, and the same thing with the bottom down here in this block. So loosen those up. There's a big copper or bronze I guess brass bronze bar on the bottom, and a sleeve that those fit into, and it's split, and it's fit them in there and tighten those bolts up, and that holds them in. Of course you have to adjust it. Well, we put the handle on. The other adjustment I had to do was with this clamp handle. Now it was way up here like this and way high. It wouldn't even close up at all, so there's some adjustment to do on it, and that adjusts with this rod right here. It's a threaded rod, nut on both sides, and this nut was adjusted way out, and this one was adjusted way out, so that wouldn't close at all. So to adjust this so it'll pinch down, and you can get it to pinch down, you screw this nut back and then this nut back, and that can adjust this so it pinch down, and that's how you adjust it for the different thicknesses of metal that you use. Now the problem with this is that to get it to pinch down and snap close, it puts too much pressure on these jaws on these pins, because this nut is wider than the gap. Let's see if we can see that. This nut right here is bigger than the gap in this handle. So if I open that up anymore, get that any farther back, then you can't open the handle because it hits the nut there, and so you can't open the jaws up. Anyway, it winds up closing down okay, but you can't get it to really snap down without pinching too tight. And then there's an adjustment here to stop the handle from going down too far, or to depth, but I don't know how long that screw is in that adjustment, so I didn't even bother setting it. And then here's the switch right here. It's a momentary on switch, so you can go either way to activate it. And it comes with a cord, pretty nice cord, but there's no plug on the cord. You have to supply your own plug, and I happen to have a 20 amp 220 circuit right here with a polarized plug on it, and I had a plug for it, so I wired that up, and it works just fine. So that's the spot welder. Now there's some adjustment on it to get the lugs here, the tips to line up, and these two bolts right here adjust in to tighten this up, to stiffen this up. But if you go too tight, then you can't hardly move this up and down, but you loosen it up a little bit and it's kind of sloppy here, so those tips can move around a little bit, but I haven't had too much trouble with it. It's not a Miller or anything else like that, but I think it only cost $100 on sale at Harbor Freigt. It was the same price as the 110 volt one when I got it, and had a coupon. They were on sale, and it was a pretty good price. And I know you buy 4 or 5 of these for the price, you can get one Miller or one of the major brands. So let me plug that in, and we'll show how it works. Now I'm using stainless steel, and here's a couple little stainless steel tabs, and I've got the jaws, the points lined up so they line up pretty good. They say they move around so much that it comes down a little bit different every time, so they're not perfect, but they're not bad. And stick the metal in there. Now if I lock this down to where it's tight, where it holds it, and just hit that, now there's the problem, is it craters and it sticks. You got a little crater right there, a little copper deposit on the stainless steel on the spot weld, but it welds good. It's a nice weld. So if I just stick this in here and don't tighten that down so tight and hit that, then it comes right up. Well, I didn't get a good weld that time. And that one worked a little better. I held that on a little too long. There we go. Anyway, it's not perfect, but it works. We'll see. I don't know how long it's going to last. This handle is pretty sloppy. The pins on it are sloppy. It moves around, and so that moves the copper prongs around. But for the price, it's working for me. So